Hey everyone, it's Dr. Rick with an unboxing. Today's unboxing is on protein, plant protein. I'm more vegetarian than anything. Some would even call me vegan. Regardless, I don't like to be bracketed, but that is a way of nutrition I'm practicing. However, as most of you will know, protein is an evolving concept as far as macronutrients. So this is plant-based protein, which you can find now, when I was growing up, all we had was whey or casein. But I think at this point, we have so many diversities that it's easy if you wanted to make the change over to a mostly whole food, plant-based or vegetarian type of lifestyle. So this is nice. I got it from Whole Foods. So there's a sale going on. So I'm just going to show you this. This label says 180 calories and 11 grams of carbohydrate and I think 20 grams of protein, which is cool. But it also has, if you concentrate on it, 6 grams of sugar. So the sugar I don't like because it causes an insulin-like reaction and serves us no benefit. The sugar usually divides off into fructose, or gives a fructose molecule, and fructose is just so dangerous and unneeded for the liver. So for palatability, and I couldn't find anything else with zero sugar, that's fine. I try to match the amount of carbohydrates as low as it can get to the amount of protein to be as high as it can get. Now, when you take whey, your protein content in a scoop, this is one scoop, by the way. So with whey, your protein content is higher than the plant protein, and a better amino acid profile for human consumption and benefit, especially with regards to avoiding muscular degeneration or muscular atrophy. So that's important. Against Valter Longo's and Dean Ornish's suggestions, I really embrace, especially with more extreme forms of exercise, no matter what age, I guess extreme depending on your age. So in my 40 to 50-year-olds, there's a lot of people kind of going over the cliff into more aggressive exercise, which is great. And then the 60, 70, and 80-year-olds, just exercise can be considered extreme because the same stuff that you would do in your 30s is very tough in your 67s and 80s, so I would continue. I think it does exercise, building type 2A and type 2X muscle fibers is important for osteoporosis prevention. Also balance, and it acts as your own hormone, those of you who are not on bioidentical hormones. So it is important to get protein in. I take this protein in a shaker bottle with this is my flaxseed milk. So this has 60 calories. There's 8 grams of protein and I think 0 sugar. So this is good. So 8 grams of protein is not bad. I mean, you have to take, how much is serving size? 1 cup. But I'm just using this for my mixer. So I put a little bit in here, I put it in the powder, sometimes I go a little over on the powder, and then I mix it up and that's my protein hit. Now sometimes I'll try it twice a day. Protein is good in the fact that it does help prevent muscle loss or sarcopenia, especially as you get older. It's important. When your testosterone and estrogen are really going downhill, we have a problem. I'm saying we because I'm 56, going to be 57 in a couple weeks. We have a problem with muscle loss or sarcopenia. So there are some studies out of University of Illinois and McMaster University about the use of protein even during times when you're not exercising to prevent sarcopenia. So as I alluded to earlier, so I like those studies, especially if you're exercising. As I alluded to earlier, especially if you follow Valter Longo or Dean Ornish's low-fat, high plant-based diet, protein seems to be a trigger that turns on mTOR. mTOR is one of the pathways in the body that yields inflammation, more importantly insulin secretion. So I try to keep, depending on the patient, I try to keep the protein content somewhat on the low side until they are exercising and beating their disease process. Usually what happens is you exercise enough and lose weight to change a category from a severe disease state to a moderate disease state to no disease state. I think that as you're pushing hard, you have to supplement. You can play around or dial in your macronutrients. If you change your life, then perhaps as we go from trying to build muscle to just taking care of immunity because the muscle's already built, I might mess around with decreased protein, more carbohydrates, and or more fats for fuel. So this is just talk on protein and how I get it in. But so I try to get to 80 grams of protein a day. And with being whole food plant-based, it's a little tough, it's a little challenging, so I cheat by just doing this. Now, if you do whole foods and you try to get as much protein as you can, 100 to 80 to 100 grams of protein per day, and I'll put a link on how to figure that out, you will find yourself, if you're going to do the whole food approach and not take protein powder and supposedly save money, you will find yourself taking in a lot of volume. When you take a lot of volume to make the difference up in your protein sources, that's cool, but then if you're trying to lose weight, I don't agree. So I think spending money on this might be wise. As far as Consumer Labs and which brand, Consumer Labs hasn't really evaluated protein powders, so you're kind of on your own. So I believe that most of the companies, I hope, are trustworthy. You can always call the companies, see that they tested properly, or because there's always going to be an 800 number on your company logo, and inquire. You can also read reviews, although I don't like reviews. Even if there's 1,000 reviews, if there's 999 people that were doing it for the wrong reasons, that's bad reviews. So another option for people is protein bars. This is a protein bar that I was going through Whole Foods middle aisle. There's like 3 aisles of protein bars for on the go, or when I'm going hiking in a couple hours. So it's nice to have something on the road versus spilling the milk or the flaxseed milk. So it's nice, but if you look at the label here, this has 220 calories. That's a lot. This also has 25 grams of carbohydrates, which I don't like, but it's the lowest amount, it's the lowest ratio I could find of all the protein bars. And then 20 grams of protein, which is pretty cool. I like 20. So doing 2 of these would be good, but then if I do 2 of these, I just ate 400 calories. That's a whole meal. So if your average calorie intake has better than average American, better than standard American diet is, say, 1,500 calories a day, you just messed around with one whole meal by taking 2 of these. And protein does have its benefits in that it gives you satiety, but especially thinking that you're having cookies. But the problem is if you take care of the satiety by doing this or by doing the powder and the flaxseed, and then you can always do blue diamond almond milk, soy if it's organic, cashew. I've actually seen hemp too. If you want to just do regular whey, that's fine. If you're doing whey, then I'm assuming you can have dairy, so just do milk, regular milk, but unsweetened, because the more sugar it has, the more you turn on the insulin response. So as I was alluding to, sometimes in addition to the satiety level, meaning because of protein's actions, it gives you a sense that you're full. You can get benefit from that. You can also have benefit in that if you take the protein, your source of protein, early on in your meal, it sometimes will change the dynamics of how much insulin is secreted. This is Lou Arona's book. He's a physician out of New York, I believe. Pretty cool. He broke it down before everybody was doing information on fasting, intermittent fasting, fasting mimicking. He broke down the individual responsiveness of dividing the whole plate into fats, carbohydrates, and proteins. And he wanted to see the response with eating average, where you mix it all up, or eating your protein first, or eating your carbohydrate first, or eating your fat first. So the one thing that's for sure, when you have carbohydrates, your insulin goes up. Insulin, again, can bring on an inflammatory state. It's important, but too high of an insulin spike from eating mostly carbohydrates is a bad thing. So that's where the keto guys come in, and I like the idea of ketosis, mostly in my case with exercise-induced ketosis or relative nutritional ketosis with supplementation. So the idea with the ketosis, guys, is that if you just avoid carbohydrates, keep them like 10% of your total calories per day, and just do a whole bunch of fat for your fuel, healthy fat, then you can avoid that insulin spike, which makes a lot of sense. And that's why I think keto-like practitioners are very good if they're diabetics, but you have to be careful with diabetes. I think I have a video on ketosis and diabetes, so check it out. However, what the beauty was when he did the protein first, which is a no-no if you're if you're in a party and there's older people and they see you. I believe if a person sees you only having the meat, not having the vegetables or the rice, the pasta, the grains, you might get scolded. So it's important to understand that. However, when the meal's protein was eaten first and then followed by other portions of the meal, there wasn't as high of an insulin spike, which goes to show you that maybe the first thing in the belly, first thing in the mouth, is very important in signaling the pancreas as far as insulin or not insulin. So protein, so what causes insulin spiking? Well, number one is carbohydrates, a little bit with protein depending on the protein, and pretty much zero with fat, healthy fat. I always have to say that because I know some keto guys that just eat bacon and meat, and I don't think that's right. I think ignoring, having that kind of a practice, so having a standard American diet, but then dumping in a whole bunch of bacon and salami, cold cuts, I think you're asking for problems. So anyway, when you divide it into the responsiveness, and then you'll have less of an insulin dump when you're 2 hours postprandial. If you have an older person that invited you and cooked and slaved over the food for 2 days, when they see you doing that, be careful. I'd just fill up your plate, but eat the protein part, the meat, the legumes, the animal products, the fish first, and then go on to the veggies, and then finish off with your grain that you have. Especially the grain has sauce in it, which sauce is usually sugary. So I think you'll still finish your whole plate, but you'll not have as high an insulin spike. If you just use this stuff, has either your source of protein on the trail or on the go in the car, or your guaranteed source of protein, I think that you will fare better. Number one, with not having muscle loss. Number two, with also getting or avoiding sarcopenia, or the signals for muscle to be atrophied. So this is how it looks. It's like any other protein powder. It's nothing exciting. There's a little scooper in here, and it smells like almonds. That's pretty cool. So that's the size of the scooper. I don't want to spill this everywhere. That's the size of the scooper, pretty big. You're gonna get finished with this thing pretty quick, but it was on sale. And that's how the protein powder looks. So, smells pretty good. It smells like, it's honey roasted peanut. So, now, just because it's honey roasted peanut doesn't mean it's all peanut, but contains peanuts, quinoa, pea protein, kale, barley, wheatgrass, organic peanut flour, organic cane sugar, natural flavor, sea salt, xanthan. So that's how they came up with that amount. I think having a wide variety of different, it would be nice if there was hemp in there. I think hemp has a very nice amino acid profile compared to standard animal meat. Just have to take a little bit more of the plant protein to get to the equivalent response to whey. So hopefully this gives you a little idea about how I choose, as a vegetarian, but you don't have to be a vegetarian, how I choose protein, whether in bar form or powder form. If you have your way, please put your how you do it in the comments down below, whether it's whole food, whey, plant protein, or whatever. And otherwise, don't forget to subscribe to me, and I'll see you at the next unboxing.